Okay, this is a 1947 Freightliner truck and a 47 Freightliner trailer. It was restored by 10 retired CF mechanics that worked on it for 4,000 hours and donated their time. It went into service in the summer of 1947, and I started driving it in the fall of 1947. It was retired in 1954, and all of the truck and trailers were retired in 1955. Leland James designed this truck. In 1939, he sent a man to Detroit to try to get the three big truck makers to make this truck for him. And they told him that it wouldn't work, and they didn't need another truck anyway. So he came back to Salt Lake, rented a barn, and with $1,500 started manufacturing Freightliner trucks. It was a Freightliner manufacturing company then. They manufactured trucks till 1944 in Salt Lake, and they couldn't get materials, so they had to shut down. In 1947, they opened up about 3 blocks from here, manufacturing Freightliner trucks, and this was the 31st Freightliner manufactured after 47. I drove for Consolidated Freightways for 2.5 million miles without an accident. I went into the safety department, and then just before I retired, I was in the claims department. Okay, this has got air-operated shutters. When the engine warms up, the shutters open and let some air in there, and then when it cools off, they close. This is the intake for the air into the engine. This hitch, if you got in a real bad bind, you could put your trailer on the front of it and push it in, and if you did, you were a sissy. Now, this is what we called the ditch light. It was adjusted to the side of the road and to pick up livestock. These were 2-lane roads with, deep shoulders, and this light was adjusted clear off to the side so you could see any livestock there and give you a better chance. In here there's a tube that comes from the exhaust pipe and runs through the fuel tank to keep the fuel from freezing up in the winter time. We carried our tire chains on here and also a big log chain. This rear end's a constant dual drive, and if you have a flat tire, you have to, we carry calipers, and you measure the tire, and your tire you put on has to be exactly the same size as the tire you take off. Otherwise, in a very, very short time, you could burn out these rear ends. This fifth wheel is a roller bearing fifth wheel. The fifth wheel, the front axle doesn't come out. It stays in there. If you're going to back this into the dock, you'd back it in just the way it's hooked up. These alligator clips we started with. This is the way we hooked our lights up from 1929 until 1955, when all of these were retired. When we started using them, this was all there was, and we had no problems with them, so we just went ahead and used them until we retired this equipment. This has a 3-axle trailer, and one of the reasons for the 3 axles in the early days, they had some bridge laws that you needed the extra axles to carry the weight. This has the best brakes on it of anything I've ever driven. Here's the old Freightliner sticker on the trailer. This has a NHB 200 Cummins engine in it with a single disc pump. The single disc pump, you can't run it against compression for very long at a time. You run it for a few minutes at about 1,300 RPMs downhill. Then you have to give it a little fuel, because the fuel that's going through it is all the lubrication the pump gets. It has a 4-speed Spicer main transmission, a 3-speed 703B Brownie, auxiliary transmission. The B means it has a real deep underdrive, and it was good for backing into docks, and that's starting a heavy rig. But after you got rolling, you just used 2 gears in the Brownie, splitting. Driving this truck around now brings back some memories of the days when I was a young man and drove this. When Washington State had their centennial, a road that I run all the time from Yakima coming into Portland was the Mary Hill Loops, and it had been closed for quite a while after they made the highway a little better. And during their centennial, they opened up that Mary Hill Loops, and we got to drive up it. We ran across the state of Washington for about 14 days in a caravan, stayed at a different fort or a different fairgrounds every night, and had parades and showed the trucks and talked about the days of old. And but running up them loops, I'm sitting there driving, and I'm driving the same piece of equipment that I drove in 1947 up that same road. And I sit there and I think, driving along, I think, oh boy, I don't remember this being this narrow. And then I don't remember this being this crooked. And then I don't remember this being this steep. In the days that we had to run those roads, they were the only thing there was, so we didn't we had nothing to compare it with. We didn't bother us. It was what we had, and that's it. pulling these hills with this truck and most all trucks that we were using in those days, they didn't go up the hill too fast. Going up the Grapevine out of California, you could walk up the hill faster than most of the trucks would run.